children, remember your promise, oh God. So the deal was, this is about 2003 when I wrote this song, and by this point I was working at a parish in Mesa called St. Tim's, and I was on staff, and I was sort of, in some ways, actually not even sort of, I was mentored by this guy who was here yesterday and today, Mr. Tom Booth. And thank goodness he saw something that maybe Jesus showed him a glimpse, because I was a bit of a mess of a person at the time. I came from a divorced home, and probably had more issues than gifts. And but he saw something, and everybody else in the community saw something, and so they were willing to put up with a young guy in his 20s who didn't really know who he was. His heart was generally pointed in the right direction. And but more importantly, they were such a stable example of what it meant just to be men of God and women of God, to be in a family, to be part of a community. And so I eventually started trying to write songs, and wrote a lot of bad ones. And then we started doing this thing called XLT, which you'll get to experience tomorrow night. And it really was an opportunity to write songs that didn't always necessarily, we'd sing at Mass. Sometimes we would, sometimes we wouldn't. But more importantly, it was just a chance for me to really pour out my heart to God and do it leading in a way of leading worship. And so the deal with this song was, I was going to a Bible study that was talking about the God of the Old Testament and the promises that he made. And at the same time, I was having a horrible love life. So in my loneliness, I wrote a song about God's covenant and his promises, because I identified with Jacob, because Jacob was willing to wrestle with Jesus. And I thought, well, if God's willing to wrestle with Jacob, maybe he'll wrestle with me. And so it's funny, because I wrote this song kind of in a low place, but I thought to myself, well, maybe if I sing it over and over again, I know that this phrase, that grace is sufficient, I know it's true, I just don't really feel it. And that's the great thing about the truth of the church, is that it's true regardless of how we feel. And that's sometimes a very important thing to remind ourselves and the teenagers that we're loving on, because feelings can change, but truth remains. And maybe that's where some of us are at tonight. We've kind of let our feelings get the better of us in a particular thing, and maybe we can just sing the truth over our hearts again tonight. Sound good?